Imagine walking into a room where everyone is talking except one person. They don't interrupt. They don't argue. They simply watch, listen, and occasionally smile. Most people assume they are shy, harmless, or disengaged. But what if that assumption is completely wrong? Throughout history, some of the most influential, unpredictable, and psychologically powerful individuals were not the loudest voices in the room. They were the quietest. Silence has a strange effect on people. It creates mystery, invites assumptions, and often hides intentions that words would immediately reveal. But does being quiet actually make someone more dangerous? Or is the real danger found in how we misunderstand silence itself? By the end of this video, you'll discover why quiet people are often underestimated, why silence can become a form of psychological power, and why the people who speak the least are sometimes the ones you should pay the closest attention to. Modern society often rewards people who speak confidently and express themselves constantly. Social media encourages endless sharing. Workplaces celebrate outspoken personalities, and conversations are often dominated by whoever talks the most. As a result, silence is frequently mistaken for weakness or insecurity. But psychology paints a very different picture. Quiet people usually spend more time observing than reacting. While others reveal their opinions, emotions, and strategies through conversation, silent individuals collect information. They notice patterns in behavior, shifts in tone, contradictions in stories, and emotions hidden behind facial expressions. Information is power, and people who reveal little while learning much often possess an invisible advantage. Silence also creates uncertainty, and uncertainty makes people uncomfortable. Human brains naturally seek explanations. When someone remains quiet, others begin filling in the blanks themselves. Some assume confidence, others assume arrogance, some imagine intelligence, while others suspect hidden motives. This psychological phenomenon gives quiet people an unusual influence. They don't need to create mystery, because other people create it for them. Ironically, silence often becomes louder than words because people project their own thoughts onto it. Another reason quiet people can appear dangerous is emotional control. Loud reactions are easy to predict. When someone constantly expresses anger, excitement, or frustration, everyone around them understands their emotional state. Quiet individuals, however, often keep those emotions beneath the surface. This doesn't mean they don't feel deeply. It often means they process emotions internally before acting. In difficult situations, this emotional restraint can become a significant strength. While others panic or react impulsively, quiet people are more likely to evaluate the situation calmly before making decisions. In moments where everyone else loses control, the silent observer often gains it. History repeatedly demonstrates the value of patience. Great military strategists, successful negotiators, and skilled leaders rarely reveal everything they know. They understand that speaking less forces others to reveal more. Every conversation contains information beyond the words themselves. Tone, hesitation, confidence, and timing all expose hidden truths. Quiet individuals often become exceptional listeners because they focus less on preparing their next sentence and more on understanding the person in front of them. This deeper awareness allows them to recognize opportunities and risks long before others notice them. Of course, being quiet does not automatically make someone intelligent, wise, or dangerous. Many quiet people are simply introverted or reserved by nature. However, society often underestimates them because people confuse visibility with capability. The loudest person often receives the most attention, while the quietest person quietly develops skills without attracting unnecessary scrutiny. By the time others recognize their abilities, they may already hold a significant advantage. There is another psychological reason silence can feel intimidating: unpredictability. Humans naturally fear what they cannot easily understand. When someone constantly explains their thoughts, their behavior becomes easier to anticipate. Quiet individuals reveal fewer clues. Their decisions seem sudden only because others never notice the thinking process that happened internally. In reality, many silent people spend far more time analyzing possibilities before acting. Their actions may appear unexpected, but they are often carefully planned long before anyone else realizes what is happening. Interestingly, silence can also influence social dynamics. In group discussions, people often rush to avoid awkward pauses. The first person who speaks after a moment of silence frequently reveals more than intended, simply to break the tension. Skilled negotiators understand this principle very well. Remaining silent after asking a question often encourages the other person to continue talking, sometimes sharing valuable information they never intended to reveal. Silence becomes a psychological tool rather than the absence of communication. However, silence has another side that deserves attention. Bottling up emotions indefinitely can become unhealthy. Some quiet individuals avoid expressing frustration until it reaches a breaking point. This explains why people are sometimes shocked when the calmest person suddenly explodes with anger. The anger itself wasn't sudden. It had simply remained invisible for a long time. Emotional regulation is healthy, but emotional suppression can become destructive. Understanding this difference is essential, because not every silent person is emotionally balanced. Quiet people are also less distracted by the constant need for approval. Those who speak less often rely more on internal validation than external attention. Instead of chasing recognition, they focus on improving their skills, observing reality, and thinking independently. This independence allows them to make decisions based on evidence rather than social pressure. While others may follow the crowd, quiet individuals often remain detached enough to question popular opinions and recognize flaws others overlook. One of the greatest misconceptions about silence is assuming it reflects a lack of confidence. In many cases, true confidence doesn't need constant proof. People who are genuinely secure in themselves rarely feel compelled to dominate every conversation. They understand that attention is temporary, but knowledge lasts. Speaking less also reduces mistakes. Every unnecessary word creates an opportunity for misunderstanding, criticism, or revealing information that could later be used against you. Silence, when used wisely, becomes a form of strategic self-control. Perhaps the real reason quiet people seem dangerous isn't because they intend to harm others. It's because they challenge our expectations. We are conditioned to judge people by what they say, yet some of the most important qualities cannot be heard at all. Discipline, patience, observation, emotional intelligence, and strategic thinking often operate silently beneath the surface. By the time those qualities become visible, the quiet person has already shaped the outcome. So, are quiet people truly more dangerous? The answer is more complicated than a simple yes or no. Silence itself isn't dangerous. What makes quiet people powerful is the combination of observation, emotional control, patience, and unpredictability that silence sometimes allows them to develop. They remind us that influence doesn't always announce itself, strength doesn't always raise its voice, and intelligence rarely feels the need to prove itself every minute. The next time you enter a room filled with conversation, Pay attention to the person who says very little. They may not be the loudest presence there, but they could easily be the one who understands everyone else the best. Sometimes, the greatest power isn't found in speaking. It's found in knowing exactly when not to.